Hi, so thank you for clicking on this video. We're going to be going over the project for Seshat-TTS. It's a program that's under my organization for Scriptriva. It's also on GitHub entirely for all the source code and everything if you want to build it yourself or modify it per the license. It's a custom license, so just to review any of the text here, all the text is going to have information on what you can do with the program or if you can make any modifications. It's pretty restrictive, and that's because I plan on releasing other open source projects in the future, and those projects are going to be listed under the organization for Scriptriva. So if you want to stay tuned for any type of changes, you could follow my organization page, and if you have any questions, you could reach out to me on X, even though I don't use it often, or you could email something to support@scriptriva.com, and I'll try to reply to you if you use this. Okay, and something to note is that this site is a bit outdated. I haven't updated it in about a year, and I changed my whole direction for how I want this business to go about. So you could ignore this for now. Okay. So for this program, it's a TTS software that uses the Windows operating system. It's not made for Linux yet. I didn't convert it, but you could convert it. I attached the binaries here for the tar files. If you want to try and get this working on Linux, you could. It's fairly straightforward since it's built in Python. You just have to convert the build process as well as some of the third-party tools. So the other third-party tool I want to go over is Tesseract. These ones, they're pretty straightforward. Everyone knows what they are. But these two, you should check them out. They're really good. Tesseract is one of the best text parsings. If you're going to try and parse anything from an image, it could also be used if you're trying to train your own LLM. You could try and train it off what Tesseract interacts with when it's trying to parse the information on the screen. There's a lot of noise, and those big models that have Omni support, where it could do 3 things at once, let's say reading text, interpreting video, and then interpreting images. This one's going to be very helpful for you if you're a researcher. This one too, you could see how they make a super small model run at insanely fast speeds for inference. I would highly recommend that you click on either one of these, and also the others too. Give them a star and follow their research on Hugging Face as well as all their other platforms. Okay, so now we're going to look at actually getting this set up. You could look at setting it up directly through a launcher, which is going to have more of a streamlined developer experience if you plan on integrating any features in this GitHub repository. You'll be able to build it directly and test it within seconds for the launcher. It's like a JavaScript basically, and that workflow is possible because it doesn't bundle everything together. It just uses what's in the environment here as you run it. Okay, so the other option is building by the executable. It takes about 5 minutes around. Once you have it built, it'll be a big file at 200 megabytes. Once you download that, you're going to have something like this. You're going to have the executable on its own. And let me just remove that. So you'll see this one's about 212. It has some other stuff. Okay, because this one's still in development. Okay, so what you have here is the launcher. What you want to do is launch it. It's going to have all the libraries baked in for the most part. You might need to install a different version of Tensor if you're on a different machine. I also tested it on an AMD processor over on my ThinkPad to my left, and it does work well on that too. So that one uses Ryzen 4650U. So you should be able to run this on even stuff from 2020 for AMD, and that's entirely just the CPU. Okay, so this is my system here, just so you see what I'm running. So it's a 9700K, 32 gigs of RAM at 2133 megahertz DDR4, and we have the GPU RTX 2070 Super. Right now you see the bandwidth is, not the bandwidth, the memory is 5 gigabytes because we're running an unsloth model at 4 billion parameters. We're going to take a look at why we're running it at 4 billion parameters and how the smaller models would perform for LLMs once we get into it. This is just for getting around one of the issues we're going to discuss. Okay, so once you have it installed and then you open it, you're going to get something like this. This is what you're going to be working with when you do the text-to-speech and all that. You only need to really worry about this window here if you're trying to make any changes to the hotkeys, or if you're trying to customize your own models, you could worry about this section here. There is an option to create custom models. You could instantiate them how you want with the WAV files or MP3 files. I only tested it with MP3 and WAV files, as well as the safe tensor files. So this functions basically like a LoRa, except it's much faster and easier to do the inference too. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the window. So you have two modes, monitor, window. Monitor, essentially the entire window here. And the window is going to have all these windows here. You could select an individual window. Let's say you want to select, why do I have two programs? Oh yeah, refresh. Okay, yeah. You also want to refresh them because it's not tracking individually frame by frame. It's tracking based on whenever you press a button. So it's not running in the background 100% of the time. It's running whenever you press a button or interact with the UI, or you press one of the hotkeys. You could customize it how you want here. You could enter a different key. Let's say you want Alt and X or Alt. But right now, this one's how it's going to be structured for this tutorial here. Okay, so you could select by window, you could select by display. This is display off to the left. You probably can't see it. This one's running at not 4K, 1440p. This one's 1080p. So we're going to leave it on that. We're going to try taking a look at monitor. So selecting by monitor, you could select anything on the monitor here. You drag to select, escape to cancel. And it goes by pixel values, where anything within that region here would be selected. This doesn't select the entire screen, it just selects region. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. It goes by pixels. You could also hide stuff that you don't want to see anymore. Let's say you're done with all this. Then you could just hide it, but yeah. For the OCR and voice, we're using Tesseract, like I said. It should be installed by default when you run the executable. If it's not installed during for whatever reason, let's say you have it restricted, the folder is tied to a different group, then you could install it through this here, Winjet install, then run that. This is all per their documentation, same thing with UVX. Okay, then you have the voice source. There's different ones. There's default. Default has all the ones that are built into Seshat-TTS that they supply right out of the box. You could add others, but these ones I found to be really good for what they offer. I offered some in different languages at the bottom if you want a more stylized approach to the audio. Just gives it a bit more different tones. If you want to go for more narrator stuff, there's stuff like Michael. Michael has good voice for that. There's also Paul too. Either one of those is really good, I found. Okay, and then there's custom. So custom, you could select your own voices here. So let's say you want to add a different one, so I could delete that and I could browse. And the first time that you add one of them, you'll get something like this. So you can press use selected. You'll get something like this. So we're going to test it.
This is a Seshat-TTS test.
Okay, yeah, this one is because I already have it in my cache folder because I already ran through this. Okay. This one I do not believe is in there. Just make sure, yeah, okay. So this one, you're going to see it.
This is a Seshat-TTS
save.
test.
Okay, yeah, you also want to save the stuff when you're making changes. So it's going to export the model into the cache. So this is where it's going to try and create like a dynamic link.
This is a Pocket TTS test.
Yeah, as you can see, it also tracks the custom audio directly for what it is. But as you saw there, it was really fast, and that created a dynamic link directly to Pocket TTS. So whenever you're trying to interface with that model under this, it's going to use that safe tensor file, which is basically going to be a LoRa, and that LoRa is going to track that audio. So let's say you want to go with the narrator. This one's more soft. We're going to be using it for the tutorial. And this one is also a safe tensor file. You're going to see how fast it is.
This is a Pocket TTS test.
As you see, that's really instant. And you could also change the volume to, let's say you want it like that.
This is a Pocket TTS test.
You could have it like that too. You could preload. This is mainly for what I used for testing it, just to see if it could parse it really fast. I got it insanely fast when I for the custom models through this dynamic link that I found within Pocket TTS. Okay, the backend is going to be using a UVX server. If you're building the launcher, there's going to be an option for the Python API, which you could also use to test it in case you want to see if you could get it working with other Python programs, not just the server here. You could define the port. Quantizing the model, the researchers at the team for Pocket TTS found that it doesn't really make a difference if you quantize the model for the languages and all that. Right now, we're only supporting English for this program, as if you have German, you're going to run into issues, which we're going to see later, regarding the dithering and different contrasting between the text and the colors of the background. Sometimes you'll have that issue depending on the game that you're playing. If it has a flat color, you don't need to worry about it, and you might be able to enable it through Python, and then there's a Python file that has this. Right now it's just set for English though. Okay, so another thing we're going to look at is this stuff here. So this is the extracted text. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to Task Manager here, and I'm just going to show you what it does. Save. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. So that should track this here.
NVIDIA GeForce RTX 20.
Okay, sorry for the audio. I'm going to have to lower that or cut it out. Okay.
NVIDIA GeForce RTX 20.
Okay, yeah, that's still okay.
NVIDIA GeForce RTX 20.
Okay, so that little cutoff there is because I accidentally played it through a different narrator, the shouting one, so I don't want you guys listening to that. But as you see here, it extracted that text here that we have on the display. Now we're going to actually look at this in different games. So just leave that running there, and we're going to open up Steam. So first off, we're going to be testing Neverwinter Nights. It's one of the games that does not have a lot of voiced lines in the dialogue. So it's going to take a bit of time to load. I have about 67 gigabytes of mods installed. Okay, so once you have that there, we're going to load into any campaign that you have set up. And I highly suggest you pick up Neverwinter Nights as well. Not the second edition one. That one's really bad. Aspire didn't manage to do literally anything in fixing the bugs. But Beamdog does a really great job. There's also Beamdog bundles on Humble Bundle. And you'll be able to get a bunch of games, even the Pathfinder games sometimes with those. I'd recommend you look out for those. They're offered regularly on Humble Bundle. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Shadows of Undrentide. It's very early on. This is still Chapter 1 at the starting area. So there's no spoilers in this, and we're going to load the module. Okay, so once this is running, you want to make sure that you also refresh. and select the actual instance of the window here. So we're playing on Neverwinter Nights. Okay. Just gonna make sure everything else is good. So I'm gonna raise the volume here to about 150 because narrator is pretty low in volume. That's another reason why I added it, because the WAV files, they could be all over the place in the volume. You could try to equalize it properly and master the audio through something like Reaper. That's a free software for a DAW, if you ever used one of those before. Okay. So right now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you here. So you could select the window here. That would be what's going to track every time you enter a conversation. And then you press the hotkey.
What do you want?
And you could just...
You wish to mine my wisdom. The wisdom of Xanos is not something to be taken lightly.
And it's instant. So as soon as I press a hotkey, it's going to play the audio here.
Ah, we have been over this story before, you and I. Why would you wish to hear it again?
And as you can see, you could go through it all like that. Okay, we'll finally exit it. You can use it for this too.
A large group of humanoids came from the foothills and headed north not long ago.
Okay. What you could also do is you could open up something like this. It has its own dialogue here. Put that there.
Choking powder is made from various herbs and causes uncontrollable coughing fits. A pouch of choking powder can create a small stinking cloud that will last for 5 rounds. The cloud forces anyone within it to make a fortitude saving throw or become dazed.
Yep, and we could play it here.
Special properties. Use. Choking powder single use.
And let's say there's something like this. You play it.
Wait. 0. 3.
Yeah, as you could see, this model does not support like 0.3. It goes by linguistics for what's the best approach for how the model was trained. This model was trained based on the characters and everything, so it's going to avoid certain stuff like that. It's going to help for some things, but other things it's not going to help, like for that. Okay, just something to be aware of. Okay, so that's Neverwinter Nights here. You could try it out for yourself if you have it installed. Just gonna lower the volume, it's really loud here. Okay, okay, put it 12, and I'll boost this to that. Okay, now we're gonna look at Rogue Trader. This is one of the Owlcat games. This is gonna be the prime example for how this program would struggle without having an LLM due to the noise applied in the dithering for the colors. And the text extraction cannot handle stuff like that. You would have to use something like an AI if you want to get it parsed correctly. And this is the best way to do it for this. Okay, so I think we could refresh this. Rogue Trader selected. Okay. So we're going to load into an early save file. I'm only going to be looking at the bridge, so there's no spoilers. You don't need to worry about that. It's all going to be tied to the starting. I think this is the starting chapter. I'm like 30 hours in, but I paused this for a bit, so I don't really know where I am. I think I'm at the start though. There shouldn't be spoilers though. I'm only going to talk to one character. And if you're playing this, you don't need to worry about that. And something to note is, while I have this due to Unsloth, we're going to try and change that right now. So I'm going to go here. And we're going to look at Unsloth while the Rogue Trader is loading. So Onslaught, how it works is it's an easy to use chat interface if you're trying to get quantized models. Everything is downloaded directly from Hugging Face. You would have to sign into Hugging Face if you want to get some models like the fish audio stuff or whatever that's gated, which the voice cloning for Pocket TTS is gated access. You would have to look at the documentation if you want to have voice cloning enabled. Everything's straightforward. We're going to be looking at that in a different video. This video is just going to be focusing on how you could actually use an already created Onslaught instance. So you have your system prompt here. You want to be as specific as possible without giving it paragraphs for everything. It can't handle paragraphs for parsing the data because it's such a small model. They're pretty stupid. And we're going to be looking at the 0.8 billion parameter model. This is a really small model. It's about I think 500 megabytes in size. Yeah, and we're using the quantized Q4 one. And how these work is that it scales, like it compresses all the memory down. So we're going to also quantize the cache. This is just to give it more speed. And for the small models, quantizing the KV cache and also the model itself, it doesn't change really anything because they're already compressed enough. So just boost the speed, and speed's really good. For context length, you want to set it to around 4,000. You could also set it to 16,000, 32,000, but setting it to 4,000 just ensures that you're not going to have issues where it's going to try and think. Right now, thinking is disabled in the Python scripts and all that, but sometimes it could try and print out like thinking steps as it's working. That's just due to the models being trained on such a low window for their training set. And the bonsai models, these ones I would typically avoid. They're not as good as the Quen models for their training data, as these ones, they're already compressed on the existing Quen models, like the Quen 4b that's condensed from that. These ones are trained individually up to the 0.8 billion and all that. So these ones are going to perform a lot better than the bonsai models, as you'll see. Actually, no, I won't be showing that here, but the bonsai models, they're not that good. I tested it repeatedly with the same stuff, tried to get them to work. Quen outperformed it by a significant margin. Everything here is on the default. And you would have to create an API key and tie that directly to your actual program here for here, right here. Where is it? Yeah, right here. So you would just plug in the values here for the base URL, the API key, and the model that you're using. If you don't want to worry about that, you could just enter current. So you could just go current like that, and it should perform the exact same stuff. So we could just save that just to show you. And that's going to use the currently loaded model on Onslaught, which we loaded 3.5, 0.8b, GGUF. GGUF just means it's a compressed model and it uses lower VRAM and RAM in general. If you're running this on a CPU, you would want to get one of the Quen models, not the bonsai models. Bonsai models are pretty dense when it comes to thinking, so you're going to get lower tokens a second. The mixture of expert ones or the models that aren't so dense, they're going to perform a lot better. We could get like up to 100 tokens a second. Right now we have that there, but that's because we have Rogue Trader open. So if I try doing like how did the Babylon society, well, it's not society, civilization fall as with the rest of So we're going to just take a look at how the, yeah, as you can see, it just gave one sentence. So these models are pretty much not that good. But as you see, 33 tokens a second, it's pretty slow for that. But the prompt speed, you could see 758. That's what really matters. That's how much it takes to evaluate those. And for the 3.5 one, you would want to get the same thing, a Q4 variant. I'd recommend picking up both of them just to see what your system could support. If you're on a 10 series card, like a Pascal card, 1060, whatever, you would probably want to pick up the 0.8B model to test it first. And if you get good speeds with that, you can move up to the 4 billion parameter one and see how it fares with that. If it doesn't fare well, go back to the 0.8 billion parameter. You're going to have a bit of noise in this generation process here. So first off, since I'm recording, I want to try and bring this to about what you'll see on your screen. So we're going to set this FSR mode to quality. And now we're going to start testing this out. So I'm just going to make sure everything's good for this. Yep, that's good. Okay. So we're going to unpause. We're going to talk to High Factorium Janus Denrock. So as you can see, typical OwlCat game, it's not a voice dialogue line here. That's because budget constraints and all that. You're not going to voice millions of text stuff. What we could do is we could highlight this. And right now I'm going to show you what the difference is between using the local LLM and not using it. Right now we're going to do it without using the LLM, just so I could show you what I was talking about for the noise during the generation and how the colors here that you can see in the background, it's all going to influence the text here from Tesseract. So we're going to play it. Valid. Oh, I need to refresh that. Okay, apply, save.
High Factotum Janus Danrock. The High Factotum Janus Danrock greets you with a cool smile and the merest hint of a bow.
Pleasure to see you, Lord Captain.
How may be of assistance?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, unlike Neverwinter Nights, this game, it has a ton of noise in the colors and texture here. And how models work is they like to work with random noise and randomness in general. It's like a statistical model. So it sees the probability. Is this linked to that? Is that linked to that? This could be text. I don't know. Let's try and parse it as an A. And then it does that. So you would have to have another LLM to look through this. So that Tesseract, it's really good at simple backgrounds, but complicated backgrounds it struggles. And unlike the Omni models, like NVIDIA Omni for their LLM, where it supports this, that one's a 30 billion parameter model. And most systems would not be able to run it. Like if you're running this on an old machine, this is how you would do it for this. You would want to get that 0.8 billion parameter model, load it up, plug in current, plug in your API key that you generated, leave that prompt the same, and prompt your unsloth instance just to have a set of rules governing how you want it structured. Then you could capture it again. It's going to put it through the local LLM.
High Factotum Janus Danrock. The High Factotum Janus Danrock greets you with a cool smile and a hint of a bow. Pleasure to see you, Lord Captain. How may I be of assistance?
As you can see, it's a lot cleaner. There's no noise. It's not going through all that again. The only thing that we have here is a vertical line, which is, I think, a pipe right now. Some of them are vertical lines, some of them are pipes, but yeah, that's a pipe, I believe. Okay, so this could be cleaned up if you were to use the 4 billion parameter model as well as other small inconsistencies when you're working with big sets of data. If I could find one here, there's one of them that has an option for a massive window, something like this. Just gonna make sure that we select it all, and we're gonna play it.
High factotum Yanris Danrock. To profit from them, of course. Most of the things you will find during expeditions are complete junk to one such as yourself, but the less fortunate and affluent servants of the Emperor think them treasures, especially when they are bestowed by the great rogue trader himself, Drusian fanatics and pirate cutthroats, Kazbalika dealers and explorators. None will refuse our help in these dark and trying times, and there may come a time when we shall be the ones requiring aid, and it would be beneficial to have allies willing to provide it.
So this is actually one of the instances where the 0.8 billion parameter model actually performed pretty well. And usually it's not that good. This time it was really good. Okay, I'm going to try running it again. We're going to see what we get.
High factotum Yanris Danrock.
Even better.
To profit
Okay.
from them, of course.
We need
Most of
something
the things
else.
you will find during expeditions are High factotum Yanris Danrock.
Okay,
Members of
as you
the
can see,
Explorator Cognizance Fleet, which has been roaming the Coronis expanse for a good while now. Omnisia knows what they are hoping to find, but their acolytes regularly show up on inhabited worlds, seeking bits of sacred knowledge, tracking down mechanical relics, and sniffing out Xeno artifacts. Supposedly, they want to save the ignorant rabble from corruption. A tech priest named Opticon 22 does business with us on the fleet's behalf. He can be found at the docks on footfall.
so the reason why that didn't work is because we tried capturing an instance while there was another instance being played. So when that happens, it's treating two different streams of data. So that's why that happened there. But as you saw, the 0.8 billion parameter model does perform pretty well. In this test, at least, I've been getting a lot of inconsistent ones where it shows like a bunch of characters in between. This time it did pretty well. So I'm going to try and just copy some other stuff, and then hopefully it does something weird. So this is what we have now.
Two Bard, High factotum Yanris Danrock. Masters of the cold trade, immoral criminals, EW and C. Notorio Ella. Alts. Aorta Alt. Mion J Ilal Meleha Ale High Mafia.
So this was a bit of unfair prompting for that, but as you saw, sometimes you get stuff like this. 2 dash. Where's that 2 over there? Why did it select a 2? I don't know, but that's the noise. So if you were to instead use a model like the 4 billion parameter one, it would not have any of those issues, even that small like vertical line stuff everywhere. So that would be something that if you want to use the 4 billion parameter one, you can load that up. It doesn't use a lot of RAM if you're using the smaller context windows. I'm trying to keep it low just so I could try and get this working, as you will see on your machines. And you want to also ensure that you enable disable thinking. This is what's going to eat up a lot of your speed and inference token context and all that. You could also change the timeout. If you're using larger models and all that, you could time it out there. Okay, so now we're going to try playing something that's smaller, so we're not waiting for hours. That's too small. So that's going to parse it here. And we're using that. Right now it's thinking, I could already tell. It's trying to think using the model here. We could try and stop it. We're just going to let it time out. And you could tell what's... Oh no, it actually... the process died, I think. Is it still running? No, okay. Yeah. Sometimes it'll do that for Onslaught 2. Oh, no, it is running. That's weird. Why is it? Okay, we're gonna stop this. And then we're gonna try rerunning Onslaught. You could also use these models instead of using something like ChatGPT as well. Yeah. Okay, Onslaught. We're gonna try running it again. So if you want to use something that's local, instead of using ChatGPT paying like $20 a month or $8 a month for their Go plan, you could always just have this there. It's useful for basically the same stuff. And if you do any coding, or you want to have like a coding assistant, don't pay for Copilot or Claude or Codex. You could just use OpenRouter, give them $10, and you have all the most of the top models without doing literally hundreds of dollars in API calls. I was using their Huan 3 model, and that one performed really well. Okay, so we're gonna go to that again. We're gonna load that up. I'm gonna close that. So that's loaded. We're gonna just make sure the quantizing's enabled for all this. We're gonna overwrite that. And we're going to lower the context window to 4096. You want to ensure that it keeps the bytes for the data here. So if it's like 1024, 2000, I forget what it is for that, but like 4096, and then there's all that. Okay, I want to make sure that it's always like a binary values that goes by, so tokens are always even. Want to disable those. You can turn on speculative decoding, but that enables noise. Okay, so we're going to try it again here.
To High Factotum Yanris Danrock. Of course, Lord Captain. Who interests you I have? We may sail with all of us to Galatekia.
Okay, that one was a bit weird. I think it didn't.
Of course, Lord Captain. Who interests you exactly? We most often deal with the followers of St. Drusus, the Explorators, the Casbalica Mission, or Emperor Forgive Us, the Fellowship of the Void.
This was probably the best output I got per the exact criteria I laid out in my stuff here, because I wanted to remove the narration at the start right here. Remove all speaker labels, so that one got it right. But if we run it again, I think we're not going to get the same one. Unless it's cached.
Of course, Lord Captain.
Yeah,
Who
they
interests
cached it.
you exactly?
That's
We
another
most often
thing.
deal with the followers of St. Drusus, the Explorators, the Casbalica Mission, or Emperor Forgive Us, the Fellowship of the Void.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's going to cache sometimes whenever you replay it, just so it's not rerunning the exact same thing over and over again. Okay, so we're going to look for something smaller.
High Factotum Yanris Danrock. Certainly, Lord Captain.
So as you can see here, it didn't retain the same functionality as the other one, so it's going to be inconsistent. That's due to the model being really small in size. But yeah, you could use this for other stuff too. Let's say, oh, don't do that. Let's say you want to play out this. You could easily set this up, and then you could play the audio.
We need no rules or leaders. We are not an organization. We are a force of nature.
And then it would play like that. Okay, so this would work for the Pathfinder games as well, and other text-heavy games. I could try with Crusader Kings, but I haven't played that in a while. So yeah, if you want to get this running, you could get the program in the description. It's going to have all the information for setting it up, running it, and in the following videos I'm going to cover other functionality for the program, as well as setting up Unsloth or building the program, the different stuff you can use for developing everything, as well as custom voices and how the program works in more technical detail. So thank you for watching this video and have a great day.